Bienvenido, damas y caballeros. Welcome back to Freeform Radio on the Freeform Network. Remember to send in those questions and suggestions, ffnquestions@gmail.com. They've been kind of slowing down a little bit. Typically, we get a few emails here and there. Not that many. Obviously, we're not some huge organization getting thousands of emails, but send them in. We like seeing them. Visit us on our social media, Facebook and Twitter, Freeform Network. But for Freeform Radio, I am one of your hosts. My name is Daniel. My other host today is Andy.
It's all good, Andy. We're here. Another good day and ready to rock your ears off.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, getting together. Man, there was some. By the time this comes out, I guess it'll be dated. But there was some really nasty thunderstorms and storms that passed through here these last couple days. Actually, kind of scary. Tons of tornadoes. I think the last death toll that I saw was like 80 something. So, damn, that's terrible. And it actually even got me worried because I think we're in the warning zone of the weather. And so I have right now a patio door just kind of leaning on the outside that I'm planning to replace on the house, but I haven't installed it yet. And I was worried that the winds would kick up that much that it would tip it over. So before the storm came, I was out there kind of reinforcing it, worrying that something would happen to it. But uh, it, it was a terrible storm for down South Illinois and then a bunch of other states. So yeah, our thoughts go out to all those people out there.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the thoughts and prayers are with them, and hopefully they can recuperate and get going rather quickly, especially around Christmas.
yeah, for sure, man. But jumping into our week here, Andy, um, what have you been up to? What have you been doing? We know we like to catch up on what Andy's doing since it's always something interesting and exciting. Fill us in on what's going on, man.
So, real quick before I get into what I've been going on, is a recording of this episode, we woke up to some bad news, especially people that are Mexican. Vicente Fernandez died this morning, and he's an icon. He's it's we all grew up. I mean, especially if you're Mexican or children of Mexican immigrants, they all know
Latinx
this person.
descent, Andy.
Yeah, the next gen. Um, every Mexican party had his music, and I mean, I grew up as a kid. I mean, obviously, he was in the background. I didn't really put uh, a a pitch a face to the music, but when they started renting the movies, I saw a lot of movies with him as a child that were on TV, and they were recorded at the local Mexican grocery store that rented out VHS tapes. So it's definitely a sad morning. It's taken over the social media in the Spanish speaking news network. So it kind of it's gonna be a lot of people are sad this morning.
Yeah, yeah, man. I saw it in my feed like an hour or two ago, and yeah, man, it was sad to see. Um, I hadn't seen him in the public eye in a year or two. I know he came out for like some special that he did with some other co-star, where they had like a little mini concert at his ranch or something like that, and he looked old in that little concert that he did. But yeah, I hadn't seen him in a while, and I guess he had a tumble where he fell and he injured himself. Went to the hospital, had a few other complications, and then passed away. So yeah, man, sorry to hear for that. But yeah, definitely a staple at any Latino family's party for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just yeah, it sucks. It's sad. I mean, everybody grew up to him, so you all heard his songs at least once. So, but yeah, we'll get through it. So we'll see what happens. But basically, let's move to a little bit more. I don't want to say happy news, but definitely maybe sad for some college football fans out there. But the college football playoffs was announced. Um, I'm probably like on Freeform Network here, the resident college football expert, because the other two guys don't really watch it.
Right.
But yeah, we got the Final Four, which is number one Alabama, number two is Michigan, number three is Georgia, and number four is Cincinnati. The Power Five, non-Power Five, the other five they call them, and then the other three are Power Fives. So everybody was picking Georgia to win it all, and then they played in that championship game for the conference, and Alabama beat the shit out of them, and they got dropped a couple spots. So I think Michigan beat up Ohio State, and then they won the Big Ten championship by beating up Iowa pretty good. And Cincinnati, they beat up their I think it was Houston on the AAC conference game, and I don't know how Cincinnati's gonna do against Alabama. I think they're gonna beat them by like 40 fucking points. Because I don't know, Alabama, all of a sudden, they're like, people were saying we're weak, and they just beat the shit out of Georgia, who everybody predicted to win it all, that they had the best defense ever, and Alabama put 40 fucking points on them.
Wow. Yeah, I was actually watching a little bit of college yesterday. I don't even remember the teams. One of them was like a backward E. I think they were ranked like number 7, and it was some kind of playoff game. So
Yeah, that was I don't know what it is, but there's like the ones I'm reading, that's like the first program, and then there's like a program below it, which is like junior colleges and all this other crap,
okay.
and then they have an actual playoff system, like where it's like
Okay.
16 teams or something goofy like that. I mean, I watch once, and if I'm really bored, I'll watch them. I can watch any football, but yeah, but they're talking about going into the future. It's gonna expand. Notre Dame was number 5, and then they call it the first 2 out is Notre Dame, and then it was Ohio State. So it's gonna be interesting. I think, as much as I hate to say it, Michigan might beat Georgia. The way Michigan's been running the ball, they
And
have a
that's
shot.
Jim Harbaugh's team.
That's Jim Harbaugh's team. He was gonna about last year. There talks about he was gonna get fired and such, and he made it, man. He's he just decided to do what he does, which is run the ball, and they ran the shit out of it, and they did all right. And so that's Cincinnati's just gonna get blown out. So it might be Alabama versus Michigan. But Alabama, like early in the season, they weren't doing too great. They didn't look their usual self. They struggled against some teams in their conference, and people were like, "Well, Alabama's not as good as they used to be." And then they put that ass whooping on Georgia in the championship game, and people are like, "Whoa!" And even Saban, their coach, is like, "Well, you guys gave us food for fodder, because y'all saying that we ain't what we used to be," and then they beat up Georgia, the number 1 team in the country.
Wow. So, do you think college football, with all this COVID, you think it's still impacting them, or is it back to business as usual and
It's
it's just
business as
football?
usual. All the college stadiums are full, especially down south. Out west, Notre Dame played Stanford, but Stanford sucked this year, so the stadium was kind of empty. It was a lot of Notre Dame fans, but anywhere football is popular here in the Midwest, Michigan State, Ohio State, hell, even Illinois. I mean, they weren't sold out, but there was a lot of fans there. Wisconsin. I mean, we had a game, Wisconsin versus Notre Dame at Soldier Field. It was sold out. It was packed, and like, I don't think COVID really scares anybody no more, or the current mutation or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's business as usual.
Yeah, I did notice that when I was watching the little bit of college football. Junior was getting a haircut at Sports Clips, and while we were there, I was watching the game, and yeah, man, it looked like the stadium was packed, and I think you're right. I think younger age people are a little less scared than maybe some of the older people, and even some of the older people I think are starting to come over that edge where they're like, all right, we're over this. We'll deal with whatever happens, but they're just not as precautious as they used to. So yeah, man, it looks like college isn't really phased by anything COVID related
I
anymore.
mean, I'm trying to stay away from COVID talk, but I mean, in general, the consensus in the country, there's pockets where there's still like I call it like lockdown mode, where like we need to be like super limited mask, and there's most of the other parts of the country, they're just fuck that. Like they don't wear masks. I mean, want to get vaccinated, but they're moved on. They're tired of that. It's been 2 years, and Fauci, Dr. Fauci, uh, respect the title, not the name. He is today. I was reading yesterday that you should really, for Christmas, you should really consider asking people if they come, ask them if they're vaccinated, or ask them to wear masks or something goofy, like in your house. And it's just like, I get it, but that's kind of, it's, people are just tired of it, man. I don't know how else to say it. They're just tired of it. And one more thing, last week, the last update, or the last episode dropped, we did get on Facebook that little COVID tab thing on the X, get more information about COVID. So I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna get us in trouble or whatever, but I did find that funny because none of the episodes had that in the
Right.
past episodes.
I thought that was kind of weird as well. I saw you sent it to the group, and I was just like, wow, that's weird. I wonder if anything in our algorithm got tagged as COVID talk, so they're like, let's direct people to this COVID website.
For all those who listened, I mean, it was, I think, the where we talked about the Chicago PD vaccine mandate. And I
Right, that
think
is
that
right.
might have triggered the vaccine, when I think those some of the keywords that they listen for, and when they do that, they put I think that's why you get the tag or whatever.
Wow, Jesus. So we'll probably get another tag for this
Yeah,
episode.
that's what I'm telling you. All the other the episodes, we've had issues early in the pandemic and even after that, but still, it still goes into that. That was the first time ever I saw that, so I don't know. That I found that kind of interesting. I don't know if Zuckerberg, what they're trying to do, but it is
Hey,
what it is.
speaking of last week, why don't you fill everybody in on that little audio mishap we had with the episode?
Oh, so yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a day. We were trying to.
In the
We
Casa de
had meetings in
Aguirre.
the afternoon. We had plans in the afternoon, and then I woke up super early, and my laptop was just
Like
acting a
super
fool.
early, like 9 o'clock or
No, like 6 in the morning.
oh shit, damn.
'Cause I'm like, our producer here, Danny, he could be a motherfucker sometimes
Hell yeah.
about getting shit done. So I was trying to wrap it up because the in the afternoon we're gonna be watching football and drinking some of the bubbly. So I was just trying to, when I get home, all I gotta do is hit like publish and I'm done. And I couldn't fucking connect to the network here at my house. I was downloading the episode. I downloaded it, but when I started editing it, I'm just like, what the fuck? Why is like the last 20 minutes missing?
Now this is
And
your old laptop, right? Because you
yeah,
just
the
purchased a new
laptop,
one.
yeah. And I'm like, did it download incomplete? So I re-downloaded it and then I converted it, and it was still the same shit. And I'm just like, and by then I think I texted you around like 8:30 in the morning, so I already been fucking around with this thing for 2 hours, and I haven't even edited the episode. And then so I was like, fuck. So it was like a very long morning, and then I re-recorded a snippet at the end to kind of explain what was going on, and it was just a fucking headache. One of the things here, um, we talk about, or when we do this, is people think it's like, oh, cool, you have a podcast. You think you just record and upload. Nah, there's a lot of shit going on in the background that people don't know about. And one of them is editing. And I'm not saying like it's this labor intensive thing, but it does take up a good, I would say 40 minutes to an hour, Danny, unless you got something like a couple clicks and you're done. I don't.
Right. I think if you want to do an A plus job, then it's going to take an hour, or so. If you want to do like a passive good job, a C plus kind of job, yeah, it's going to take you at least half an hour, 40 minutes. And then anything less than that, you're just, there physically, but you're not really doing anything special. And that could take, by itself, 15, 20 minutes, if you're just kind of going through the motions. So yeah, it does take some time. It's not something easy. And it was pretty interesting article. I mean, we were talking about this gazillionaire and how he has the power and everything. So a lot of that conversation got snipped off. So too bad. But the article is interesting. It's real detailed. So if you read the article, I'm sure you'll get the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, we try to have at least a high quality sounding episode. I mean, we even though we got older equipment, but I mean, when we were part of a coalition, there was guys who said just record it and just throw it up there, even though it sounded shitty. And that wasn't always like me and Danny's. We didn't like that because big part of it is people listen. They want to hear, clarity and like some decent editing. I don't say it's got to be perfect, but they gotta be when you talk. They gotta have a clear, high quality listening. If you're like far away or static, they're gonna get turned off immediately because I don't got time for this shit. It doesn't sound right. I don't want to sit there and like listen intently to hear the clarity or to see exactly what they're saying. So
Right.
we do strive on that, and we try to clean it up and amplify the audio and stuff. But with that being said, like when we were part of a coalition, that there was a show, they were just like, yeah, just fucking record it. It sounds like shit. Who cares? Just throw it up. Just get it out there. I'm like, yeah, there's some that makes sense, but still, you can't just be throwing shitty shit out there and people are like, I don't know what the fuck you were saying. Like, I heard 10 minutes and I'm like, super staticky. It sounded like you guys were far away. Like, it's a turn off, and you got one time to impress people, and if they don't like what they're listening to, or you sound like shit, they're not gonna come back.
Right. Right. No, I think it takes a decent amount of effort to do a half decent job, and people are real sensitive on their time. I know I don't have time to waste most of my day. uh Half the time when I sit down and I'm going to watch something, I got to really evaluate, like, I only got a few, like an hour or so. What am I going to watch that excuse me, that I really want to watch? Because I don't got time to dick around here. I got to watch something that I want to watch and not waste my time watching some B movie like Andy. This is like, I got to watch something good.
Like, I love like YouTube, and I love people who put it's still not like high quality, but they made an effort, but it's clear, it's HD. They got some cheesy like segments or whatever, but they made an effort, and everything sounds clear. If visually it looks decent, then yeah, I'll give them an opportunity. And if I like it, if I listen to stuff and it's like just like you could tell it was shot in some older iPhone, and they're just fucking doing like a hack job, and it's not really loud or echoey, I'm just like, fuck this. It might be something great or some great content, but you're in today's world, as soon as you see that, you're like, fuck this, I'm done, I'm checking out, and I'm just like, maybe they'll get better or get some Patreon money or something, and improve whatever get better recording equipment. And like I said, that's a big part of it. And because I love when people ask us, how does the show, like, not how does the show work, how do we do things? They want to know how the sausage is made. And some of them, like I said, I think
Sausage.
they generally think it's like very easy. Recording's like the easiest shit compared to all the shit in the background, because we all are, got lives going on. We have schedules, we work, and just to get people together to talk about something, it could be challenging. And then even to get everybody to record, like when we started, we used to go to a location, and now we're doing everything virtually, and even that's still, I thought it would be easier. It's still difficult.
Right. Not for
So,
sure.
and people are like, oh really? Like, yeah. So like I said, it's like I always tell people, it's a labor of love, because we're not making millions like Pat McAfee on his fucking show. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Danny.
No, it
He
doesn't
has like
sound
a
like it.
sports talk show. He started a Barstool, then he left. He started his own show. FanDuel gave him $30 million
Right.
to
Yeah,
keep his
yeah, yeah.
show. He could be the exclusive better on FanDuel and all this other shit. And he just does shows on YouTube. And I'm just like, God damn, when's someone gonna give us $10 million? He's getting 30. I'll take 10.
Right. I did see something like that. Yeah. I don't listen to him daily, but yeah, I saw something.
Yeah, he's also the announcer on WWE SmackDown. He's a color guy, and so there's money being thrown around in the content creator world, podcast shows. But yeah, I mean, we're hoping for that, but we'll see. Right now, we're just trying to crank them out and keep everybody somewhat entertained, and just keep DIY doing it yourself until we can hire somebody to do all this shit.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's going back to my thing, the editing was fucking rough. But thank God for college football playoff. And you know me, I mean, I love the bowl season. Notre Dame's playing in the uh, what do they call it? The New Year's Six bowl games. I don't know if you know what that is, Danny. Probably not. They're playing in
No.
the Fiesta Bowl.
Right. No, no, I haven't heard of that.
So on New Year's Day, there used to be 6 college football bowl games, which were like a must watch. It was a Cotton Bowl, Orange Bowl, uh, Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Sugar Bowl. And somewhere along the line, they added the Beach Bowl, in which I was never really a fan of. But so those are the 6 important bowl games, and everything else is garbage. Not garbage, I shouldn't say that, but they just have it spread out along the schedule, and it's just it is what it is. The other ones, the Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Utah. Fiesta Bowl is Notre Dame versus Oklahoma State. Peach Bowl is Michigan State versus Pittsburgh. And then the Sugar Bowl is Baylor versus Ole Miss. So usually on New Year's, we do some drinking, wake up, eat some menudo, and then watch football the rest of the day. And that's how usually I start my New Year's, because and then you focus on football and maybe basketball. Like my last conversation, everybody's telling me how the Bulls were good, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. I think they're starting to turn the corner, even starting to pique my interest, which I'm not a big basketball guy, but yeah, I might have to tune in and watch a few.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Basketball's been kind of brutal here, but we'll see how it goes. I might watch it. And another quick note, talking about football, Fox is bringing back. There's going to be 2 new leagues. One of them is going to be the USFL. They're bringing that back, and it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be exclusively on Fox Sports Net, and Fox. And then next year, I think the Rocks. He bought the XFL. He's bringing that back. So it's gonna be XFL just won't die. It keeps coming back, and the USFL. I was kind of shocked when I heard that they were bringing them back, and it's gonna be the season like always starts after the Super Bowl, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. The logos and the names were cool that I saw in the USFL a couple weeks ago. But I think right now with the gambling, the DraftKings and the Barstool app, all that shit, you can gamble. Because I was reading 25 states, you're allowed to do that online gambling. I think they're like, as long as there's football, they know people are going to gamble, and that's one of the reasons they're bringing it back.
Man, that's a little sad to hear. I didn't know about this other USFL, but man, is a talent pool going to be diluted where it's not going to be that great of a game? So I was worried of the XFL because you got the Canadian football, you got the NFL. There's only so much talent before players' talent diminishes and they can't perform to a high standard. They go to these other organizations and they just kind of like this college game that I was watching yesterday. It wasn't the greatest. There was a lot of just air balls thrown to nowhere land, and is that what you're going to get with these other organizations?
I think these other ones is just an opportunity for more football players to get work, and then their end goal is try to make it in the NFL. Like the XFL, when Vince McMahon brought it back, um, it was doing decent. Then COVID hit. I mean, they were getting good ratings. There was high scoring, and then uh, they ran into a little bit of money problems with when COVID started, and then a lot of those players got NFL jobs, like on special teams, and they weren't necessarily starters. I think Carolina had one of the better quarterbacks that was in the XFL, and he was their backup, and he played last week. So I think it's just an opportunity to showcase that I'm improving, I'm decent, and I can play in the NFL. And I think ultimately, long term, that's the goal for all these spring leagues.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for sure.
In the gambling. So it's yeah, the USFL, like I said, was looked pretty cool with their logos and their teams. And XFL, I know they were trying to come back this year after The Rock bought it, then it got pushed back to the year next year. So I don't know. I mean, if it's football, I'll watch football, but it depends, like you said, Danny. Like if you see a lot of people don't run in their routes or they're inaccurate throws, and people get kind of turned off. But if you score a lot of touchdowns, I think people will watch it. If it's high scoring, that's why the Arena League lasted so long too, because it was like fucking high scoring. I mean, they were putting like 60, 70 points a game each team.
Yeah, I mean that's what keeps the people coming back. High scoring, good defense, interceptions, stuff like that. And you know, at least this college game that I watched yesterday wasn't like that. So
Yeah,
hopefully
that's
with
the team after it, man. That's like the low. That's like I want to say minor leagues. I mean, they're football players, but it's Division Two or whatever it used to be called them. Division One, Two, and Three. It sounds like you may watching Division Three, but it's Division Two college football, and like some of the great players came from Division Two, like McNair, Steve McNair. He was
right.
in that thing, and some other, I think, some other players. So the first one that popped in my head was McNair, but there's some other, Bears drafted some guys from that conference or division or league or whatever. But yeah, but man, it's
But
enough
yeah,
about me.
I was just gonna say I'm like you. I could watch any football and kind of stayed entertained just watching the game and watching the offense and defense playing against each other. So it doesn't matter that it's tier 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. So hopefully these new organizations find a fan base.
With that being said, like I've been to arena football before they folded. Here we had the Chicago Rush, and going to the game from watching the TV is all right. But when I went to the games, it was practically sold out. A lot of family, hard hitting. It was fast and high scoring. And yes, it was a smaller field, but they're throwing footballs off the net and all this crazy shit. And it was fun. It was fun to go. I mean, you went to the last iteration of the XFL when McMahon owned it. You went to some of the Chicago Enforcer games. I don't know on TV. I mean, it looked all right, but when you're there at the stands watching it, I don't know if your experience like, yeah, this is gonna work, or you're like, it's okay. I mean, a big part of it's getting people to watch, and then the second part is like I think gambling plays a big factor into all this.
Right, for sure.
But that's enough about me, man. Let's see what's up with Danny. Danny bought a new vehicle, everybody, but I think he's more excited about this option that they just put on his vehicle now that winter officially is not here. It's gonna start, I think, in a week or two, but we have gotten colder weather. So what are you happy about? Are you happy you got this option on your vehicle then?
Yeah, for sure, man. When I had the Corolla, I had an auto starter on it, and when I picked up the RAV4, it didn't have an auto starter. The only way I could get an auto starter by default from the factory, I had to buy like this added on audio package, which was like another couple grand. And then you would have it would come in packaged with that, the automatic starter for the car. So when I first got it, I'm like, I don't need an extra 4 speakers, Bose surround sound, or whatever the
Yeah, you
heck
should have
gas
gone
it
with
came
that,
with.
man. Yeah.
It did sound interesting. I'm like, hey, who doesn't like good sound, good music, blah blah blah.
Don't you
I'm
want to
like,
know how our show sounds on both speakers?
right, right. It probably would have been a decent buy, and I would have got my money's worth. But I just bought a house. I didn't want to overreach myself, so I'm like, I don't really need that. Let me just get the auto starter on the side, which Toyota offers as well, like a side thing, but it's not part of the factory install. So it's kind of like your original F-150, Andy, where you got like this side thing. And then if you ever have problems, you can't go back to the dealer because they're like, well, that's not a OEM piece,
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
something external. So it's something like that where Toyota installed it for me, but it's not an OEM part. It's an external part by a different company, but it still does the function of auto start. So I ended up buying that, which was considerably cheaper. And uh, so far, I've only used it a half dozen times since I just got it installed a few days ago. But I'm sure I'm going to get my money's worth just because I used to use it all the time with the Corolla. Those cold weathers, you just turn it on.
Yeah, everybody I know that's bought any type of Toyota vehicle the last 5 or 6 years, and they all had that remote starter. My wife has a RAV4. When we were dating, she had it, and I'm just like, huh? And then she was explaining to me like, yeah, it was just part of it. Like it was part of the package. And like my old boss, he bought a Toyota Tundra, like brand new, and he had the same one. I'm just like, dang, I guess. And then you were telling me that how cheap it was. I'm like, I think they just throw it, they give it away or something, just like another thing to get people to entice to buy, especially in here in the Midwest. People, these winters, especially in January, is the fucking worst because I mean, I can't state it enough. You wake up, it's gray, it's dark, it's fucking super cold. You barely see the sun. It just sucks. And you can literally wake up, hit that button, and you start warming up your car, have the heater going, and heated seats and all this bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, these couple of weeks since I've had the truck without auto starter, and in the mornings, sometimes it's brutal, man. When it's teens outside and you're jumping into the truck and it's cold because I have it outside right now. It's cold, man. Those seats are cold. The steering wheel's cold, and it takes a minute or so, especially since it's a hybrid. It takes a minute for it to warm up and start blasting out some hot air. So it's a little different. So
So
I'm happy to get this auto starter.
when we had the polar vortex right before the pandemic, remember those? That was like a week. We weren't even. I think we might get like 1 degree or something, and overnight it was like 10 or 15 below. I would get up in the middle of the night, like around 1 or 2, hit the remote starter in my wife's truck, and I go out there and start my truck and let it run for like 5 minutes, so like I wouldn't have to deal with bullshit in the morning because you would go like 14, 15 hours without starting that truck. It'd be harder for it to turn on in the morning. So I would do that, and like that's when I was like, "Fuck! I wish I had a remote starter."
Yeah, I would, back at my old place, I always kept my car in the garage, so I didn't really have to deal with that too much, except when I was at work. Like I would get to work and I would do that during lunch.
Yeah.
I would poke my head out, do the auto starter, let it run for a minute or two, and then turn it off, just to make sure that when I did leave, it wouldn't have been sitting there for 9 hours without turning on, under below zero weather, and have a hard time turning on. But yeah, man, it's something definitely that when you have it, you do use it. And I know people that even use it during the summer. I don't use it quite as frequently for that, but I know people that leave their AC on and they just auto start it so that by the time they get to their car, it's nice and cool in the car, and they just jump in, and you do waste gas, trying to cool off your car. And where in the summer, or I mean in the winter, it makes more sense because you're gonna have to waste the gas anyways to warm up your car before you get going. So I see it as a convenience during the winter. In the summer, it's more like a luxury, but I know people that do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, you want to be sweating your balls off, or or burning off some carbon emissions, and but you walk in, your seat's cold as fuck in the middle of a 90-degree plus day.
Right, right. No, I know people that do use it, and I've
Yeah,
used it on occasion. Like if I have the family with me, I'm not a big AC guy myself. I usually roll down the windows. I mean, it's got to be like swamp sweating nut weather for me to have the AC on. Otherwise, typically I just roll down the windows and just the breeze of driving. It's cool. Unless that humidity's up there, then that's another like, all right, let's turn on the AC kind of thing. But like if I'm like going shopping with the family, going grocery shopping or doing our errands or whatever, then I'll be more have a tendency of turning on the AC, and those are the times that I would auto start when we're walking out of the store. So by the time you get to the car, it'd be a little bit cooler than if you just turned it on right when you got there.
yeah. I got friends in the West Coast in Southern California, and I always give them shit. Like, I told him this past week, hey man, I woke up this morning, it's 11 degrees. He's like, are you fucking kidding me? 11? I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. Cause dude, that's how can you live like that? And I'm like,
I
what are you
agree.
talking about? It's like, yeah, it sucks, but it's better. He's like, yeah, it was kind of cold here. It was like fucking 56. I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. But I always tell him like, in the summer, you guys dealing with a fucking drought and shit in California, and here we don't have to worry about running out of water. I go, but our summers here in the Midwest, especially in Chicago, uh, they're fucking humid, man. It's just you're sticking to everything, and when you go out west, it's hot, but it's not like sticky hot and shit.
Right, right. So yeah, man. Super happy to finally get the auto starter installed. When I bought the truck, it was something that I bought right away, but they couldn't install it while I was picking up the truck. It was something that I had a schedule, and they finally got it done. And yeah, I'm hoping to get my money's worth in the next coming weeks. Maybe not this week because I think I heard we're gonna have a 60-degree day coming up. So it doesn't look like I'm gonna put any use to that auto starter just yet. But I'm sure those cold days are coming, especially with the truck being outside. But speaking of cold days, man, I finally put up all the Christmas stuff, the Christmas tree, got all the ornaments up. I was even excited enough because it's a new house to put up stuff outside. But then reality hit that I would have to take them down, and I like, maybe I'll do it next year, kind of thing. So I only got the tree up, got the stockings up, all that good stuff. But it got me excited, man. I'm like, maybe next year I'll put up some stuff outside, but not quite yet. We'll see. How about you, man? Did you get your tree up or
No,
anything like that?
we were talking about it as this weekend, and I put out a couple. I got this wreath with the Chicago Bears with a Santa Claus. I'm like, that's about as close as I get to putting Christmas things outside. And we were talking about the tree, and I was just like, oh man, like I gotta go dig it out. And we were kind of like debating, like I don't know, like I was just like, well, let me know. And like this was yesterday, cause and then she was just like, yeah. And then we just started doing other stuff, and then we just forgot about it. And I have a feeling, what's today? The day of this date. Christmas is about 2 weeks away. If we don't do it this week, I don't think it's gonna get put up.
I don't think so. I think this is about the deadline. I think most people Thanksgiving is usually like the time where like, all right, it's Thanksgiving Day. Let's put up the tree kind of thing, or Thanksgiving weekend, let's put up the tree. So now you're like a week or 2 weeks into that. I don't if you don't put up the tree now, I think you're not gonna get the benefits. It's gonna be like, all right, let's put it up next week, have it up for a week. Christmas comes, and now you got to pull it down. So you're only going to have it up for 10 days, 14 days. And you're going to be like, all that for 14 days of having this tree up.
And like I was on Macari, and somehow all these like ornaments popped up on my feed. I'm like, I don't know why the fuck there's ornaments. And then out of the blue, when I was like, I reopened the app like a day later, there was all these wrestling ornaments, And one of them was like this NWO wrestling ornament. I'm like, I don't know, that's pretty cool. And it was like $10. But I'm like, if I buy this, I gotta put the fucking tree out. And I'm like, like I could wait. So
Yeah.
that's why I was just like, oh man. And then yeah, looking at this date, yeah, it's gonna be rough. I might put something out, but I don't think we're gonna have a tree because we got a lot of shit going on here. But we'll see.
A
And
lot of
then
shit like
my
football watching or
no, college football's over, man. So that's why I said if we don't do it this Saturday, it's gonna be kind of rough. And today, my wife's gonna go somewhere with her family, so I'm like, like it's a family thing to do. So I'm like, eh. And then she was telling me yesterday that she has a friend who never takes down the tree. She has a tree put up all fucking year. So she has one from like Christmas of last year. She put it up, and then she did one. She left it up to like New Year's, and then in February she put up a Valentine's Day themed tree. She put the
oh.
ornaments up.
Hmm.
Then she went to spring, and then she put like a Hawaiian theme up. And then she did one for like Memorial Day, 4th of July, St. Patrick's Day, all this bullshit. I'm just like, what? And like she did one for like Halloween,
Wow.
Thanksgiving. I'm like, that's a little. I mean, I guess it's cool, right? But I don't know if I would be able to. I'm not. That's not me.
I could see that maybe like if you had like a basement or like an adjacent living room, family room kind of thing where you had this abundance of space and you could just always leave that tree out. But for us, we moved into like a slightly smaller place than what we had, and I don't think we have the room to leave a tree up, you know, 365 days a year here. We had to move over some stuff just to make room for it. So, yeah, I don't think we could keep it all year round, but it sounds kind of interesting.
Google it, man. I guess it's a trend. A lot of people are doing it, but I'm not me, man. I'm like not me. That's not me. But I mean, some people do it cool, but I that's not me.
Right, right. No, it sounds interesting, but I could maybe do the Christmas lights outside all year. I could see that before I could see having the Christmas tree up all year.
Nah,
Uh,
man. That's
it looked kind of tacky just having it up all year, but I could see that laziness rather having the laziness of keeping the tree up all year.
me and the missus were watching a Christmas movie this week. We were watching. You ever seen Jingle All the Way with Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, I think so. Where he's
What they were
looking for
looking
like
for
an
that
action
toy?
figure,
Yeah.
right?
So his neighbor.
Sinbad.
No, that's the villain.
Oh yeah,
His
that's the
neighbor's trying
mailman
to
or something,
bang his
right?
wife. As a kid, I remember watching it a little bit when I was younger. I'm like, I don't get this shit. But we were watching as an adult, and I was like, the guy's trying to bang Schwarzenegger's wife.
Yeah, that's the famous SNL guy, right?
Yeah, and then apparently, there was some innuendo talk in the movie, like he fucked like all these women on the block because he's a single dad. He was telling one like, "Yeah, I got the right to fix that for you." She's like, "Oh, when are you gonna come over?" Like, "I could come over later tonight." And I was like, "God damn, man, they talking about fucking." But anyways, so Schwarzenegger came home from work and he was putting up all the lights on the house on the Christmas lights. He's like, "You looks like your house needed some Christmas cheer, so I put these lights up for you." And Schwarzenegger was like, "Kind of like this motherfucker, man. Like, what the fuck? Maybe you need a neighbor like that to put up the Christmas lights for you, Danny. But maybe you won't be pissed off."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a single flat house, which made it more appealing. The other house that I used to live in was a tri-level, so it's got higher roofs to hang shit on. And I've cleaned the gutters out in this house twice already, so I'm not as worried about getting higher up onto the roof and kind of hanging things. So it seemed doable, especially since it's been kind of mild temperature. I'm like, it's something that I can do. I can hang it up. I don't really have too many outlets outside, so that would be like the next challenge is where do I plug all this stuff in? But it seemed appealing, but I talked myself out of it. I'm like, next year I'll come up with a game plan. I'll see where I can hang it. maybe they sell like hooks that you could put on your gutters and kind of hang this shit on there so that I'm not like putting tape and tearing some shit off. So I don't know. I got to put some more thought
Yeah,
into
there's
it,
hooks for the gutters you could put
right?
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine so. I've never done stuff like that, but it does seem to kind of call me to make it a little more festive. So maybe I'll do it next year. I'll have to do some investigating and kind of plan it out. You know how I do it, man. I can't just do things on a whim. I got to kind of think it out, kind of plan things, see
You can
things,
have
and
a layout, blueprint layout, and all that
right,
shit.
right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to a little game plan,
Gonna
little
put a breaker a junction box outside and shit.
right, exactly,
Hit it with a 20 amps breaker overload and shit.
exactly, exactly. But yeah. Speaking of planning, I think that jumps right into our article of the week. So Andy, our article of the week. This guy did not plan very well his uh his problem to his solution here. The article is from Fox News. Was published November 4th of this year. Colorado man sets mom's house ablaze trying to clear cobwebs with a blowtorch. Authorities said that this man tried to put out the fire for hours by himself before calling emergency crews. So a Colorado man was arrested for setting his mom house on fire with a blowtorch. The sheriff says John Charles, 39 years old, so he's not some little kid, was arrested for suspicion of first-degree arson, criminal mischief, and causing $20,000 to $100,000 worth of damage to the house. Now, the article goes more and more into it. The house doesn't look half bad. I saw some like half decent pictures, and it looks like a half decent house, kind of in the woods and the boonies, kind of like our houses out here. But man, I don't know what possessed this guy to even attempt this. I myself, I don't like spiders either. I'm not a mass murderer of them. I don't automatically see them and want to kill them, but I don't care for them to be in the house. But this is kind of nuts. Now the article kind of goes into maybe this guy has a substance abuse problem. Maybe he has some other side beef with his mom. So there could be some other things going on here that kind of contributed to this. But I didn't know, Andy, how bad your arachnophobia to bugs and stuff is. That you would pull out a blowtorch for this.
Well, not as bad as this guy, but yeah, he did have issues with his mom. His mom had a restraining order against him. He couldn't be in the house, but he's homeless, and she felt bad, so she was letting him spend the night there. But I think there's more into that story than we know. But right after the byline, there's like authorities said the man tried to put out the fire for an hour by himself. So he was clearing up the cobwebs, and I'm just like, he's like, oh shit, this is on fire. You don't have a crawl space. I do, Danny. I don't know when's the last time you ever been in a crawl space. It's pretty fucked up, and it's a lot of cobwebs down there. And him taking the blowtorch sounds like a great idea, but there's usually support beams and all this other shit under there. So I don't know what the fuck he was thinking unless he was high. And it also said that he got charged with a possession of a controlled substance. So to me, that means he was probably on drugs. And yeah, and then like the picture they show, the roof's on fire. So this thing obviously spread immediately and went up, right? And so yeah, that's fucking like he's like, oh shit, everything's on fire down here. What should I do? So I wonder if he like got out of the crawl space and got like a towel and he tried to like throw it over the fire or something. That's what I want to know. Like
I
he
do
fought it for an hour, dude. So what the fuck was he? What does that mean? Was he throwing like, let me see if I can get the gardener hose down here, like some goofy shit? While everything's burning up.
I do picture something like that. They show a picture of this guy, and he does look kind of slow moving in thought to where he kind of realized that the fire was getting out of control, and he's just like, "Oh shit!" Ma, the house is on fire. What should we do? And the mom's probably like, you idiot, put it out, man. You're gonna burn down the house. And so I could
Yeah,
imagine that an hour went
yeah, the
by,
meth animal. Yeah,
right, from him trying to turn this thing off. But it moving into this neighborhood that we're at, it is kind of woodsy. There's a lot of trees and everything. And as soon as we moved in, everything seemed cool. But like a month or two ago, we started getting like an invasion of ants. And
yeah,
I don't know what the hell where they came from. I tried to kept like we narrowed it down to like a corner of the house where they were sneaking in. I looked outside and I didn't see anything like outside, like them coming up the siding or anything like that. I didn't see any kind of. There was no food. There was nothing. I'm like, what's attracting these ants, dude? Alana went on a war rampage trying to kill these ants. I mean, she was buying all this shit to
you can buy a
spray.
blowtorch.
No. If she would have seen this article, maybe she would have got the idea. But man, it was nuts for a while. I don't know if by your house, if you have any kind of
Yeah, then
critters coming in
when I helped you guys bring in
the
that
patio,
window or whatever, yeah,
right?
Alana was telling me like, there's a lot of bugs and like, yeah, we have spider problems over here, but my wife swears that's a good thing. It's something with the insect world. I'm like, I don't know. They ain't paying fucking rent. They gotta go. And I fucking clean shit up and all this. My father-in-law finally told me to buy this chemical. Um, and I spray because you know where I get them. I get them all along the edge of the house, and especially in my fucking mailbox.
Yeah, man. There was a spider that I killed like three of them chilling by my mailbox, and they would come back like its family would be like, "All right, Uncle Sam's out, come on over here, Uncle Joey," and they would just pull up camp there and make another nest. And I'm like, "What the hell's the deal with these spiders making it in my mailbox?" And luckily, I didn't get bit by any of them, but man, there
Yeah.
was there was some big ones,
So
man.
I clean it. I fucking cleaned it down with like Clorox and like watered it down and like I got the air gun that I use my compressor and shit. I was doing all this shit, trying to push it all the way to the edge, and it always fucking popped up. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And then my father-in-law recommended like this control thing, like you spray on there and they won't return. And I sprayed that on there. I don't know if it's because winter, maybe not. It was closer. This was like a month or two ago. It's called Bug Stop Home Barrier,
Okay.
and that kind of helped. It was still kind of warm, but he swore by it. He did it at his house, and yeah, I mean, it worked for me. I mean, granted, it's cold now, but I was over there talking to you guys, I'm like, yeah, the big difference out here, one of them for the house wise. I mean, back at the old when I lived closer to the city, it was more. I just had like garden snakes, but that's fucking normal, right? Where we grew up. Out here, man, it's I don't see any of that shit. I just see squirrels and a lot of fucking insects, like around my house. That is it, and like a fucking ton of spiders.
Right. Yeah, I just saw the message you sent with the pic,
Yeah,
and yeah, I've tried stuff like that before. The only other thing I thought was in my mailbox, since it's screwed to the siding, and then there's, it's like formed metal. There's like these little pockets. But I ran across the same thing where it started getting cold, and I think the spiders just went away. I'm thinking next year I'm gonna put some caulk in there and kind of seal up the edges and see if they'll just stay out. Because I could see how it's appealing. There's a lot of ins and outs to get in and out of the mailbox. They could probably build their nests on the outside, catch bugs, go back into the mailbox and kind of chill out inside there, be protected from the rain and whatnot. But yeah, I think next year I'm gonna try to caulk up the corners and seal it up really good where the only way in and out is through the top. And I think that's gonna be less appealing for them, just because it's gonna be a little more challenging to get in
and
and out.
yeah, you gotta. There's something you could throw for like the edges of the houses. It's like this pill stuff, like really small, and they eat it and they spread it. I've used that when I had ant problems, like the first year, like on the edge of our front of our door.
Uh-huh.
We got some cement, and they were just fucking congregating. I killed them with raid, and then I threw some shit, and then like all that went away. And I haven't had no real ant problem since. But ever now, it's just mostly fucking spiders. and that's the big thing here. It was like just a ton of fucking insects out here where we live. And at the old house, like, yeah, there was like fucking mosquitoes and shit, but I never really dealt with fucking spiders that much like I am right now.
Yeah, at the old house we had a basement and there would be tons of spider webs. And I for the most part left them alone as long as they weren't in my walking way. But like if they were in the rafters or if they were like in the pipes for the heater and the water pipes, I left them alone, let them do their thing, let them eat whatever ants or whatever other bugs might be kind of floating around. I'd leave them alone, as long as they're not crawling over me. But yeah, as soon as they came into the living areas, if I would see them build a nest, in the corner of the bedroom, then those, yeah, I would kill.
Dude,
But yeah, there was a ton of them.
even on my grill, I leave it outside in the backyard, and I would open it up and I would see cobwebs on the edge of the outside. And then I fucking turn that fucker on, and then you just see him scurrying down the thing. I'm just like, fuck, man. And
I'd see a
then,
lot of hornets in my grill.
no, I've never had hornets.
Yeah, where they
That's
where
when
they
I think you
build
might
like
need
a
the
hornet nest.
blowtorch.
Yeah, I did. I would spray them down, and then I would light them on fire, and that whole little nest would burn up, kind of like arachnophobia.
Hmm.
But yeah, they would build little nests, little hornet nests inside my grill. They're like the if I didn't use it for a couple of weeks, yeah, I would open up the lid, and then yeah, you would see like two or three scurrying away, and then I would have to spray down their little hornet nest and blowtorch it and burn it up. But yeah,
No,
it
yeah. I
was
mean,
nuts.
that's why fire. I get this guy's idea, but crawl space where it's enclosed and all that, that's fucking dumb. And there's wood support beam down there, wood beams and shit. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. And then, like you said, he got, like I read in the article, it says he got busted with methamphetamine, meth, and I'm like, well, there's this fucking problem. He goes, he's probably fucking high, or maybe he was trying to burn their house down for mom, or he was trying to do something to her because they did have a restraining order against her because he probably did some dumb shit back in the day. So there's some issues there, but my opinion, I think there's more than like, oh, he's just trying to burn down cobwebs.
Right. You never know, man. I didn't think about that, but maybe he was trying to kill the mom and get the house money.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, from the insurance. You never know.
When you're on meth, I mean, we all seen pictures of people who are on meth. It's like they're pretty fucked up, and like you do some stupid shit and those drugs.
Yeah. I would assume that probably didn't make him think as clearly as he should have. But I wish Noel was on the podcast. I know Noel is a big like save the animals. I know at my parents' house, my dad, he's just like, I'm a chingasumada, just kill this bug. But Noel, he'll try to like capture it and then set it free on the outside kind of thing. So I wish Noel was on so we could hear his thoughts on this. But yeah, man, I kind of let things be if they're outside on a tree in the corner of the house on the outside. Hey, man, cool. Make your little nest, do your little thing. Keep the insect population down because that's what spiders do. They catch all these other
Yeah,
miscellaneous bugs and kill them. Stink bugs is another one that I've seen a lot, here in this area. So, I let the spiders do what they got to do to kill them. But yeah, as soon as you come into my living area, that's when I'm like, all right, now you're encroaching into my space. So you're going to have to go.
yeah. There's a lot of things. Uh, the fire again with the guy with the fucking fire. I'm suspicious he was trying to do some other stuff. And if like out here, one of the things I think squirrels. I think by when I lived by the city or closer to the city, we had squirrels, but they were kind of afraid of humans. Out here, they're not afraid of us. They get really close to you. Like I had an old pumpkin for Halloween out there. I literally would walk up to the door, and the pumpkin was on our front stoop, and the motherfucker was eating the pumpkin right in front of me. And he looked at me, and I'm like, "What the fuck you doing?" And he's like, "What you gonna do?" And I was just like, "This," and I took a picture of it. He was just fucking going to town on that pumpkin. And I was just like, "Damn, this motherfucker thinks he owns this place." And then my wife's like, "Just leave him alone." Like, man, that dude needs to pay rent, man. Plus, he's eating our food.
Right,
And
right.
then I was just like, whatever, man. Like, Yeah, but he ate like half that fucking pumpkin. So I mean, he did get rid of a big chunk of it, and I was able to throw out the rest pretty easily. So I guess he hooked me up.
Right, for sure.
So for that, we got to get out of here. We got to hook you guys up and get going here. We want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can follow Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. Also, send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. Let us know, what do you guys use to take down bugs, animals, rodents? What techniques do you use, if any? And then we'll read them out here at the show in a future date and time. So let us know whatever you guys think of college football, what we talk about, the articles. Just send them all to ffnquestions@gmail.com. But also, don't forget to check out our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There, the whole archive of shows are on there. I know some of the other platforms were limited on space, so they're not all there, but they're always going to be on that website. And also, check out our YouTube page. We have a lot of our older shows on there too. So, in whatever platform you listen to us, we're on there. We're in a bunch of them. I can't name them all here, but the usual: iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, YouTube, iHeart. There's some of them are merging now. I can't keep up with it, Nanny, but we're pretty much on all of them.
Right.
And subscribe, like, review, comment. That helps us all. But most importantly, hit like and subscribe. That helps us out immensely. Again, Freeform Radio. We got Danny.
Yes, sir. Gearing up for Christmas. Enjoy yourself out there, everybody.
And this is All Good Andy. And probably this episode, I believe, will drop before Christmas. So we want y'all to have a good Merry Christmas. And we'll catch y'all next time.
That was cool, Dad.